Okay, I'll get started here, Justin, and we'll make this look nice. We'll call this meeting, special meeting of the County Commissioners to order. And the purpose of this meeting today is to discuss potential projects for our Community Crossings program for 2022. With us is Michael Mang from Butler, Fairman, and Seifert. And you have an assistant today.
This is Hannah DeGooch.
Hannah DeGooch. Good to see you, Hannah. And Jolisa Bates, our grant administrator, and Jay Havlin, the County Highway Department Superintendent. And we're going to review the road maps and conditions of these various roads and try to decide on what roads to choose for the 2022 Community Crossings paving program. So, Michael, I see you brought your maps and material, so we'll, if you want to just leave that stuff there, we can gather around the table and take a look at it.
Thank you. Okay, so want some chairs? Kind of walk you through the maps. We've broken those out, and we apologize and put the aerial in there. They're not as evident as they are on the computer screen. But this is, the map says major collectors. That's all your major collectors. So what that's going to be is your most traveled roads based on traffic, and they collect from other roads, highest probably ADTs. And what's in green there is anything that's rated below a 4 or lower. So with this road on the edge right here, I believe, what is that? Is that 850? 850 is, that's Rush County's responsibility, so that we don't even need to look at that. So in your major collectors, most of your roads, with a few exceptions, are 5 or above. So you're in pretty good shape on your major collectors. The next map is minor collectors, which is kind of the next one down. You're going to see a couple of the roads on there that we paved last year. Obviously, we don't have to worry about those. So that's kind of your next step down as far as traffic goes, and then your rating. So again, 4 or below. So the ones that are in bold green, you kind of got to look for those a little bit. And then it just kind of keeps going. So then your minor arterial, and then your local roads. And then we've got all roads on the last map rated 4 or lower, with the exception of the roads that you did last year are still included in that, and we hadn't updated our information. When you're kind of digesting that, I'll talk a little bit about our costs last year and then what we're looking at going forward. On Hannah's spreadsheets here, we boiled those maps down into a list of roads. So again, it's going to follow the map, but this is the major collectors that are 4, so we're going to hand you these in a second, 4 or lower, and it's just going to list out those roads, so it's not going to show all of those.
No,
You're still doing it. Well, hang on a second, Dale. So that's kind of, if you want to look at it in a list view, that's what this is. It reflects the map. So last year on our roads, and I'll have you help me if I misstate this, Jay, okay? When we went to application to bid those, and then what we actually bid, we tried to get a little more pavement thickness in there, and their bids came in at trying to remember, it's just shy of $2 million. You guys had $1 million from the county, so we kind of skinnied up that payment as far as the thickness goes. We pulled the stone out, and then the county put the stone on. So taking our bids from last year, I need to make some adjustments to that. Talking with Jay last year, the ideal makeup of your pavement, we'd like to see 1.5 inches of surface and then another inch of wedge and level to get you about 3.5 inches of pavement. That's going to be a good, strong road. I know you like really good roads. It's something you're not going to have to worry about for a long time. So I applied those materials to the 2 roads we did last year to get us a cost per mile. They've changed the makeup in the tack coat. So the tack coat, they've got an application rate that goes over an old road, and then they've got an application rate that goes between 2 new surfaces. So I've reflected that in here. And then what we've seen, 2 weeks ago was my last bid. We're starting to see numbers go up quite a bit. So what's in yellow on the cost here, I've adjusted up. So last year, your asphalt was about $61, $62 a ton. I usually use around 78 to 80 when I get your application, because we want to have some fluff in there to be able to do whatever needs to be done that's found in construction. Right now, I would probably use $88 to estimate that. I think we could see it as high as $95 a ton on the bid. So I put in my 88, I escalated our total by 7%, which is what we're seeing the increase in right now. So I just kind of showed you that's, by adding that 7% into all costs, that turns that 88 into about $94 a ton for asphalt. Compared to what you paid last year, that's about almost $30 more a ton than what you've been seeing. So that's kind of what we're starting to see and talking with the contractors. They're not able to buy all the emulsion and everything that they normally would buy this time of year at a certain price. They're all trying to get it at that price. They're selling about half of what they need, and say we'll sell you the other half once we see what the market's going to do. So all that. Last year's cost per mile ended up, the way it was built, was about $186,000, say $187,000 a mile. And that was with 2 inches, or I'm sorry, as bid was 2 inch surface over 1.5 inches. It was billed at 1.5 inches of surface over about a 1/2 inch of wedge. So your cost last year was $134,000. As it was bid, it was $186,000. I think we ought to use somewhere between $193,000 and $207,000 a mile when we calculate what we're going to do this year.
Now, your estimates are based on current crude oil prices.
Yeah, with about a 7% increase. We try to, again, we're projecting this out 6 months. When you get your money and we actually get a bid, that's going to be 6 months from now. So I use the CPI index to project that out in the future. We just went from 3.3% CPI to 6.7 in a month. So I don't think it's going to get crazier than that over the next 6 months, but who knows for sure. So I think with me escalating these costs and then adding another 7%, we should be in the ballpark, and we can plan on that road that you want of an inch of wedge level, 1.5 inches of surface, and that includes stone shoulders. So last year we pulled those out to get you the asphalt that you wanted.
And we'll no doubt have to do similar things again in 2022.
Yeah. Liability-wise, on that stone shoulder, that was a great way to save money and still get it done. Your guys went out and put it in probably at a lower rate than it was bid on. What we want to be careful of there is there's a new spec in the NDOT spec book. It's called a safety edge. They've had some lawsuits where they've come in and put 2 inches of pavement, and then it's sat like that for a couple weeks with a 2-inch lip on the edge. Somebody gets a wheel off, can't go on, has an accident, and then they sue the county and the contractor. So we're going to cover you on that liability in the spec book by telling the contractor if he doesn't put stone in right away, then he needs to put barrels out, so he can choose whether he goes ahead and puts the stone down right after he paves and gets rid of the safety issue, or he's gonna have a cost at putting barrels out until he does. So we're gonna cover you on the, the specs on the bid to cover the county's liability, but when we pull the stone out, then that liability comes back on you guys to get it out there as soon as you can before an accident happens. So,
Jay, with that stone distributor that you had rented, that would speed that process up
Speeds it up. But
considerably.
you're talking $2,600 a week to rent that thing. That's why I took it back, because I couldn't afford to leave it set on the lot when it was too cold to use it.
Yeah.
Once the gravel starts freezing that pile, you can't put it down. And once you get the chunks in it, it does not flow out there on the ground. We're just using our two, the way we did last year. The 3 small trucks
Yeah.
that we had to stop because 2 of them broke down. What can I say?
your cost as bid by the contractor last year for the stone and placing it was $78,000 for 11.4 miles of road.
Yeah. So, your best estimate right now is $207,535 a mile.
Yep, that'd be inch and a half surface, inch of wedge and level, and includes stone shoulders and the 7% escalation that we're anticipating. The bid we took 2 weeks ago was in Miami County. EMB Contractors has basically got a plant on site. It's right there at the corner of Grissom Air Force Base. And so with no trucking, they bid $78 a ton. Trucking usually at $6 to $8 a ton for trucking. So we're going to see bids above $80 probably here in January. Well, you're going to get your money. We're going to go to bid probably like we did last year, June, July.
Well, we've had better news.
Yeah.
Do you think, is there a way to put language in these bids that would allow the cost per ton to float with the current crude prices or not?
NDOT wants you to lock into a maximum that they're gonna give you for your funding. So, have you started working on your annual bids from contractors?
Well, we're just still waiting on it to come in. Yeah.
So, you got any idea what you're expecting to see?
No, no idea whatsoever. We're not supposed to open them until the 21st, I think it is.
Right. Two have come in, one from IMI and one from someone else, but we won't be able to open them until the 21st.
And you haul your own materials, and that's just material costs, so that might give us an indication, now what we're gonna see, and we can maybe escalate it a little differently after we see those. When do we have to, do you remember offhand, we have to have a bid back in for your award?
Are you talking about
We
for
use
the
it for the
application?
application, I'll
The application,
It's usually about the end of January.
it's usually end of January, no later than usually the 7th of February.
Okay, has Oak Grove announced their opening dates yet?
NDOT has not,
Okay, okay.
yeah. But I mean, it's almost always been due before February 7th. Sometimes it fluctuates a little bit. Usually it's around that last week of January, first week of February.
Okay.
That's why I felt like we probably needed to go ahead and have the meeting to get to working on this. Mike, what are we probably looking at being able to do mile-wise then?
That's what I'm just calculating.
See, great minds think alike.
So at that number, the high number, you're right at 5 miles, which we did 11 last year. That's at $1 million, so if we want to do the max match to get $1 million, so we could do them probably 6 miles. Or we could go a few more miles and give like an alternate on the pavement makeup if you wanted to. We could show it thicker and then be able to go down a little bit from there and have it as an alternate bid so we can pick which funding level we're able to sneak in at. So maybe we go at 2 inches and 1.5 inches and overshoot our mileage a little bit, see where the numbers come in, and we can tell them the alternate bid would be 1.5 inches and 1 inch.
Well, I would really want to maximize our flexibility on this. And can we actually adjust the footprint?
That's set in stone. So we're telling the road and from and to, and early on, when the community crossings first came in, that's what was happening. People had excess money, then they would expand their footprint, then it wasn't documented in all the application. So NDOT's really saying you need to set your footprint. We can manage the project within inside of that footprint, but we can't expand it or decrease it.
Do they understand how tough that makes it for
Yeah,
us?
it is tough.
Do they care?
Yeah, they're just managing the dollars and not the projects.
Well, we're trying to get the maximum amount of work for the money. And, if we could be flexible on the footprint, that would help out a lot. But
Yeah, another thought, so we can decrease inside the footprint a little bit. It's, we're not being exactly what we're telling them, but maybe we can find something where a mile on either end of it or something like that, if we can't pave it, we can chip and seal it. Or something like that. And then if the bid comes in low enough, we can go ahead and pave the whole thing. That's about as tricky as we can probably get with the footprint. We were really, even last year, we were really kind of probably over what we should have done mileage-wise and trying to get into your 1.3 million budget. We just got there, and obviously you guys had to take on the stone yourselves. So we're probably, say that should have been 10 and a half miles. We're probably still 3 or 4 miles under what we were able to do last year. Hannah and I wrote if you want to dive into those maps, something that's a little easier to see. I tried to make these numbers as real as I could, so we weren't making hard decisions once we got the bids back this year.
So the rest of the 5 miles possibly to be done this year is included that Jay has to do the gravel.
The number I have there includes a contractor doing the stone, so you don't take on that liability of the safety ditch.
But if we move it to let Jay do the stone, there's a possibility we can maybe add another mile.
Yeah, give or take. Your stone last time at 2 inches, and that's what we would use again, was $78,000. So it doesn't quite get us, say, a half a mile. If you take the stone.
So by taking the stone out, then would Jay have to come up with putting the barrels on the side of this road?
it'd just be timing, so you'd want to get Jay out there as quickly after they put their final surface on there as you could.
I think it's end of day, he needs to start tomorrow, right?
Yeah. That's the best case. Just need one more thing to.
That's easier said than done.
Yeah, it is. I always like to have a little bit of fluff in there for contingencies. NDOT doesn't let us put a contingency on a percent in there, so just so you know, that what we have listed as patching, until you decide on the roads, we'll go out there and look at them and see if there truly is any patching that appears needs to be done, but that's usually where I hide our contingency, and it's only 5%, so 5% of the total, so we've 24, and so that's about the same cost as your stone, so another 74,000 between that and the stone, that almost gets you a mile. If you don't want to decide today, you guys want to look over that and then send me some roads that you might want to run some scenarios on, I'll be glad to do that. And what I haven't done is I haven't reached out to your bidders from the last couple of years, just to, usually I call the contractor and say, hey, what's it looking like? What do you think it's looking like for next year? We're driving this on, the latest bids that we've seen in the last less than a month, and that's not all just local work, some of it's inbound work, so that's a little bit of conflict. Different pay items, different testing that's required, so they hide all that in the cost. So it's hard for us just to pull out an asphalt cost for an NDOT bid job.
I really hope crude prices come down in time to, allow us to get more for the money than it looks like we're going to. But we just, there's no way to know what that's going to look like 6 months from now.
No, it's been a lot easier in the last, say, 7 years. That CPI change has been right around 3.1 to 3.3 for about 7 years, and this is the biggest jump we've seen in quite a while.
Mike, when will you need a decision in order to get everything together for the application?
Well, if we do something, if the 5 or 6 miles are pretty contiguous to each other, and they're not, they all roll in an estimate or two, I can turn that around in a day.
Okay.
Some of the communities, it's like a mile here, and I end up doing 20, 25 estimates. That takes a little longer. So.
Well, with what we're looking at, I don't think it would be too hard to keep it down to no more than 2 projects. Jay, you want to add anything on your observations on getting roads?
Do you want to do 2 projects or one continuous project?
I guess it depends on which projects it is. Now, bear in mind, if there's, let's say we've only got 2 projects in mind. One of them would be real easy for you to do with our the other one will be harder. We let the contractor do the hard one, let you guys do the easy. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
Because you gotta factor in, you know, especially with our crew, we don't have as many trucks, the time of hauling and all that stuff, so I'd consider all those things. But the closer you can work to between the job and the plant up there at Milton, makes it easier for
Makes
us.
it better, yeah.
Here's a letter for you, if that helps you see things, these are all the ones ready for. Here's that's what I'm saying. This one. That's two. So that's one. What's the name?
Yeah, 304.
Yeah. So this, that's kind of where it comes from here. Yeah, that one's a little before.
But it doesn't mean you can't do it. That's, you probably wouldn't want to do a 7, but 5, that's fine. But you're, on your highly traveled roads, you're in pretty good shape rating wise, but it doesn't mean it's not money well spent, get out ahead of it.
So can this be used on changing a gravel road to pavement?
Technically, yes. I'll tell you, last year I had 3 people apply for conversions and run them.
Really? That's kind of, yeah.
I think they're willing to spend money on paved roads and bridges on community crossings. So they didn't allow you to do it, they added it in as an item that you could select out for conversions, and then they, as far as I know, they didn't award any last year, so it's an option, but they're not gonna let you use it.
What is that money that's got travel not based on the look on the tool? Looks like the gravel really has the problem with water until little bridge goes in the water.
Oh, well, that was, 250.
Bond drive for it?
Yeah, if it's one there,
Got the drive for it in it?
yeah,
That's bond drive for
I think it's 250.
it. I think that's what it is.
250 grand.
It's travel.
According to your Pacer data, we're in pretty good shape on the major collectors.
How would you get Rush County to pay that kind of line for you?
They just chip sealed that,
Did they?
this last season, yeah.
Two.
Well, they need to do it from Orange south.
That's the bad part.
Yeah, they do so much of it, like every 10 years. And I'm gonna be in the grave by the time I get to the Tri-County corner. It's
They're doing some work south of Orange right now. I was down through there the other day and they plowed up some strips down there toward Allen Coons. And evidently they're gonna do some strip repair there.
One guy told me they were cutting the banks back or out, and putting gravel in them. They're required to have it back open every night. So they work from like 8 to 4 or whatever, and then open the road back up. And then reclose it the next morning. So, I
They're
don't know.
cutting the high banks off the road, what you're
That's
saying.
what they're doing. I guess it's making a mess out of it. I haven't been down through there. They said it's something else.
Jay, have you got the same packet we've got here? Same, all this?
Oh, no, I ain't got all that.
Okay,
He gets mine.
I'm not finding 350 south of this list for some reason.
350 south,
Yeah,
let's see if I can find it here.
but we talked about that
It's,
the other day, how rough it is.
okay, come down here, Dale. See right there where that blue spot is? Come down here,
Yeah.
this little jog here, that's where the bridge is at, come back around, come down the canal there. It's right down through here.
Okay, I'm not finding it in this list where they're all rated.
It should be, it's a chip seal road, but it should be. Thank you.
It should be.
You say 350 north,
350 south.
south?
Yeah, 350 south from 121 to, that would be Bird Sanctuary.
350 south, 350 west. That first dividing road right there.
Okay,
That's the one that goes back to Columbia.
yeah, there's a lot of traffic on that road.
Yes,
Is that the one you just?
Has anybody drove that road lately? Pretty rough.
No, come down here.
Let's
Let's see, where's 44? 44 is right here. Come down here, where's 121? 121 here? Okay, let's see, right? That's Bond Drive, so this is it right here. Right there. See what zigzag right there off of 121?
Yep.
It's all the way up to 350 here.
250.
Should be a gravel road.
Should be on here.
Did you do something on that in 2019?
I don't think so. I can go to work the last time they worked on it.
Well, I think, didn't we have a list last year that you didn't, or 2 years ago that you weren't able to get everything chip and sealed that you wanted?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's one of the roads, because we're showing that at a pretty high rating.
Let's see.
Last, that would have been 2019, I think, when we got that list.
East, west.
Michael?
Yes.
The state highway department had 121 closed, a good part this year. And then those side roads like 350 South had to absorb all that traffic that was normally on 121, and they really took a beat.
Here it is, Dale.
Where'd you find it?
2770 is the number.
27.7.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just all of them,
Okay.
starting.
We should put page numbers
What's the pacer rating on it there, Gary?
Grade of 4.
Okay. It should rate a 5 now.
Yeah. What the problem with it is it needs wedged all the way down through there, 'cause man, it's out of proportions and down on the sides and everything else, it makes it rough.
What I do is screw up when I test it.
No.
I'm using this for a job, so.
Right here. See, it said from Bird Sanctuary Road to 375 West. The 375 West,
375 west, runs south.
yeah.
So
It
they're
goes out here, it's got 357.
looking at these
That's from Bird Road Street.
sections here.
But this, what they're showing here comes from bird sanctuary back to this reserve.
Yeah,
This section here, not this.
it's not showing the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we were just talking back there, so I think in 2019, he anticipated chip and sealing that, and he didn't get it done, so we took the list and put it in here, so the rating that we're showing here is higher than what it really is. It probably matches this section down here, which is rated at. So it's probably all rated 3, which would be a failure 4, which would be a good candidate. Now it's probably right at 3 minus, if you add all 3 sections together.
Well, I just wanted to bring attention to that one, Michael, because I know how rough it is. I've drove it recently, and it's pretty bad, and it's a highly traveled road. That's not the only one either. If it wasn't for that bridge closures on 121 this year, it wouldn't be as bad as they are now. How many roads, Jay, did we have, after the 121 was opened up again, we went in and had to fix them up after that? There was that 50 East?
Well, they got below south out of Columbia, they got 290 and all those 3 roads that come around that way. I can't remember that was all of them,
Yeah.
because they used it as a bypass. And then they got down to Vaughn on 350 South. And I think they used 375 too, by the trailer court down there. Some of them did.
Yeah. Part of it they did, for sure. You got any more suggestions? What about you, Dale?
That's Saxon Road.
Hmm?
Sounds like the Saxon Road.
Oh, Saxon Road? He just told you they won't take, they won't go gravel.
I'll throw it out there.
Yeah.
That little road I took that off of Everton Road, that 100 East is really bad. You guys have been down that road?
100 East.
It's probably maybe a mile and a half, 2 mile road, and that's how you split.
You're talking over by Everton Road.
Comes
Yeah.
off Everton Road right there. It's highly traveled now based on the Amish down there building. This guy, he got a factory down there, he's building cabinetry and the big trucks coming in and out with that. It's definitely chunked up and nothing but charred up potholes. I just went down yesterday. It's look like it's a dangerous road to go
Where does Bird Sanctuary stop at? Going back north, is it 350 or 375? Does it go?
It stops at 300. You know what I'm talking about?
And there's Dungan's.
Yeah. Because that's the back side of the bird sanctuary right there.
So what would that be up past Carpenter, up through there? I know, I'm putting you on the spot, but
Well, maybe I got it on my list here, hold on. Because I went down and checked all that road down through there. No, I don't, I just said 350 all the way around to 150, from 121.
I went to Equin Road.
We'll have to tell you this one.
we roughly need to come up with about 2 more miles.
That one's gonna be right at 3, so I'd say another 2 to 3 miles, and then we'll see where it comes out dollar-wise. Talking generalities here, so we'll get your true length and width and look at it for patches and things like that. We'll come back with a good application estimate.
What's that, on 350?
Yeah,
Yeah, it varies from 16 to 18 foot wide.
right. We're just talking across here.
400 north would be another one from State Road 1 out to the Dungrazing neighborhood. It needs it too, but that would be a good one for you to do because you're nearest to the plant up there.
Yeah, it would. Do you want to cover them 2 bridges that they got down there on that river? That one's a wooden bridge. You never got down there and looked at it?
I haven't been in under them.
You can look at it.
One of those are wood.
It's been there. I mean, it feels good and sturdy. And we haul across it with loaded dump trucks all the time. I said something to Brad Starr up there about his semis coming across there. I said, you want to be careful because that isn't a very sound bridge. It should be in that book.
Well, I'll take a look at that.
Yeah.
How old is it, Jay, do you know?
I've been down there since 1980 and it's always been there. So they put it in a long time ago. They've got it on abutments on each end. But it's the way they assemble it. It's just, I mean, we chip seal over it. I can remember back when we fought paved over top of that thing. That might be the only thing that's holding it together.
Is it posted for vote now?
Might be, I don't remember.
Well, Leo, the bridge inspector, he hasn't, so far, he hasn't said anything to us about that. So evidently it must be.
They haven't put it up for being replaced or anything.
No.
If you look at your list of posted bridges in there, it should be in there. Now, kind of based on the load it's posted on, it ought to tell you it's coming, you know, or how quick it's coming.
Yeah.
There's actually 2 right there, and I think the other one is not got a wooden floor in it. But that one does. Because we got already done looked at it one day, we just wondered about it.
Is it a timber structure all the way around?
Yeah.
Everything's timber. Can do bridges on community crossings, though. We don't have time to do one for a January call, but it saves a lot of money, and they're approving bridges left and right. Might keep that in mind. We just need to get enough of the design to get the permits started, because permits take, the fuse on those is a little longer than January to July, so it's longer than 6 months, but a lot less red tape on community crossings.
Yeah. Well, I know there's a lot of traffic on that road too. Tracy, if I'm looking at it right here, you're 100 east from Little Bear Road to Everton Road. Just a little over 1.2 miles. Well, this is Pacer rated for number 2.
The worst spot on that road's where they put that new drive in that woods right down in there. Because they dug that road up, had to put cans across the road. And they had to work underneath the gas lines and everything else. And I think it's still gravel. I don't think it's got any blacktop on it yet. I think that's the
down
worst.
that one spot.
Yeah, right in that little woods right there.
It's listed as chip and seal.
Yeah, it is chip seal.
Yeah. That's a lot of chip right now. Give you chip and hold. The hole is just along Everton Road too, it's pretty big. Jay, I just drove down Everton Road yesterday, there's one hole that's pretty big. Have you noted that too? Just a
Yeah.
hole, like a sun hole or something.
I had 3 crews out today, but it was awful getting areas that had a lot of holes in it.
That's what I was wondering about.
Yeah.
That's good. That's-
We're looking at 2 of them.
This thing, this can be right here.
No, because they don't have it coming off of 121, that's what
No.
troubled me.
It's just, let's see.
That's in the, that's. That don't make a lot of sense.
From Sanctuary Road, 375 West, it's only showing a little over 6
Everton
miles.
Road there between
That must be
the worst section, that's about another 3 miles.
more on
There's
out.
a good section right there.
Yeah, I think 375 west is,
Yeah, it's not been, I wouldn't really use that, like, hey.
that's gotta be the road going into Columbia.
Yeah,
And 350 west is the road going down Snyder Hill.
Yeah. right there. Okay. You said just the one at 21.
3 or 4 years ago, I did it, it was bad
You
then.
find that?
No, I ain't found
It's already dropped, usually it takes a couple of years for it to drop the rating, it dropped the
Trying to
rating
figure
every year.
Trying to see.
It's
How many miles that would be?
It is a school, it's got a school on it, so. it's definitely-
I've been through one of these, maybe they're looking over it.
Most of it's 20.
Can't believe it would be on the
Tennessee
list.
can still-
It's only
Tennessee can.
two roads going into Columbia.
He was in my office right before we left.
2.4
One of the
miles.
reasons we were a couple minutes late.
Okay.
121, yeah, that makes
Yeah, his wife,
50
works
south.
with my daughter.
The county road 250 south, which would be Vaughn.
She's a sweetie.
One section, that's 20 feet, and then 20 foot wide, the other section's 18.
That don't make sense.
You got me down. here's 350 south from 375 west to Snyder. That's just a little short stretch.
Yeah. That's coming back towards 121.
And
That next section is only rated at 4, so it's on its way down that, a good 3-4 mile stretch to do.
That's the section.
Yeah.
Does that connect to that one? Those documents?
I think that's. Right across the hall.
it's not this.
See, this one here, I expect. Whatever it is. Look, you laid out here.
Look, got a big man. You'll find it now, won't you?
Now I can see it.
And we were just looking at this, from here to here is like a 2. And then that section from there to there is a 4. And then that one is a 2 as well. So that's about 3 miles.
This road,
Oh, yeah,
just paved.
right just through Everton was, according to our map.
They paved that
No,
in 18, I think it was.
yeah, they went clear down to here, didn't they?
Yeah, they went all the way down there. And then went across down and out to the bridge.
Was that part of the?
That's the one where they ground the road and so it broke up and it's falling apart.
Yeah, that's the one.
They cut down into the base, what they did.
So this section here was paved too?
Now, we did that part.
Okay. I don't have that. That was in 2018 too?
No, that was 19, I think.
When this section here, when that's the first community crossing, correct?
Yeah, I think it was. Warren was here then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they milled that road.
Yeah, they said they cut it into the dirt.
Yeah, it shouldn't have been milled.
They don't guarantee the work when you come back and do something.
If you tell them to mill it, you insist, don't mill it.
There is, in the bid documents, we use the day of substantial completion, we've got a warranty for 1 year after, that, so we can call it back on.
That's good to know. That's how they do it.
They did come back and fix a couple spots. First year I was back here, and what did I come back in 18? Latter part of 18, Dale?
I think so.
Yeah.
So the first year to do 2 inches of pavement, you had to do milling too. And what happens, a lot of times they get out there just like that, it wouldn't take a bit, so they finally got their heads on straight and understood that you can't mill everything, add more pavement to it, it's gonna be better than taking it back down the dirt and starting
Yeah,
over.
'cause a lot of your county roads don't have very good base on them. If you cut down past where you had to establish your base before, they ain't gonna hold. It never holds out.
So we were looking, I got that updated from here, and then we would go up till it went to there, and that's 2 miles roughly. And then this mile here is low rated too. if you were looking for another 2 or 3 miles to put the 350. That's continuous.
Yeah, how many miles do you come up with, Michael, here on 350 from 121 going west,
You're right at 3 miles.
3 miles? So you think we need 3 more miles?
I'd throw another 3 in there and let's see where we end up. How many miles is that gravel road you're talking about? Is it a mile?
Little over a mile. About a mile to
I
10.
think these papers said 1.7, I think.
Because it goes in and turns to the right and goes back another.
So you get $1 million max a year. We might do a strategy where you go after these paved roads, we'll see where it comes back in. So say we're at $1.3 million and it comes in at $1 million, you're at 300,000 is gonna come off of that. In July, we could go ahead and apply again for that gravel road conversion and see if we can get the rest of your $1 million, see if it flies.
I have problem putting this road back in. I mean, there's too many roads that haven't had anything done to it, and we're already duplicating what was done less than 3 years ago. And I know it's in bad shape, I understand that, but so is all this everywhere else.
Get you.
And this road, if it needs it, so be it,
Yeah.
but I don't think we need to be jumping back on a road that's less than 3, 4 years old. And that's my own jump.
Yeah,
It just
that's-
needs repair,
Yeah.
probably, like you said, you guys
Yeah.
are working on those
Maybe it gets an
potholes
early
and
chip
stuff.
and seal
It
or
is
something like
dangerous
that,
for
yeah.
buses and stuff.
You don't want to do that?
Well, it's kind of debatable right now, Dale.
Well, whenever-
Early chip seal.
Oh, well, until you get that distributor.
Then we
truck
get to figure out what's
going,
going on with it.
Yeah,
We did 4 miles, and we lost every one of them. It looked good when we got it down, but it just did not stick. And we've had the people come down and say it's spraying right. Somewhere it's not holding its pressure. As you're going down the road, it lets up, and then it starts to weak drill, and it comes back and it does it again. And you end up losing the whole road. What happens? I've got people saying they didn't live on a gravel road before, they put the wrong one down.
Yeah.
Her road's like that. Her road looks better than most of them though, really. Hopefully we can get a line down, we'll figure something out.
I hope so.
That you think was, like 2, 3 miles.
That's.
You got anything else on your list besides 350 South?
Okay. We could go down to Alpine and go from 121 to Allentown, and that is exactly 2 1/10 miles. Right there.
That bridge doesn't need to be replaced or anything, does it?
No, the bridge is all right.
It'll be 650 South.
And actually, if you go all the way over to Coltrane, it's 4.4 miles. That's following it all the way around Coltrane, past the Garrison Creek Church and all that down in there.
Oh, yeah, there's some.
But the
bad
road
spots
narrows
there,
up.
too, yeah. There's one little patch that's been repaved in there.
Yeah, we
It's
put a
real
can,
bad.
Mike Coon put a can in out there, we paid on top of it.
That's really good now, it was really good.
See what we're talking about?
Is it this one right here?
Yeah, see, where's Alpine and that at?
Let's check this out.
121.
21's here.
Okay, it comes this way, goes around here, comes back, and there's Coltrane right there.
We paved this not too long ago.
We, no, actually, he paved over here,
Oh, that's right.
Columbia Blacktop.
That's right.
Yeah. We tried to chip seal this part of this year and it didn't work. That is where they told us it was working right.
Yeah.
School, church, and school, and another church. Have mine.
You got anything else on your list?
Nope, that's it.
So the higher traffic local roads, and you think those two, condition wise and traffic wise,
They need attention.
would they be
Yeah,
on your list of priorities?
yeah, I would get them. You going to the bridge there on Alpine, you're gonna make some of them happy down there, but you're not gonna make all of them happy. Because some of them, once you go all the way out Johnson School to the county line,
Right.
and that's almost 8 miles.
There's a lot of
But this
traffic.
way you'll get taken care of 2 roads and it'll help people that go to church down there all the time and all that. Plus it'll increase the traffic flow down there.
And the Amish school's on that road too. Amish school and the other school with the old Garrison Creek Church has been right at that. Well, it's where Jaleesa's kids go, she told me that. They go to that little school there on that road. So, I'd say that's a good idea. Based on that traffic, and then add to the Amish traffic.
And I can do this, I can estimate it in 2 sections, and we can combine it if you want to do the whole thing. And then still have this on there, and then 350. And I can estimate over what you want to do, just so you can see where you're at.
Let us take care of that one.
I'll take care of
Yeah,
that.
we can take care of that, because we figured on getting it this year anyway.
This one and this were almost 6 months.
I'll throw those other 2 miles in separate, we can just look at it and see your widths and things will make some differences.
Because when you go around by Garrison Creek Church and everything,
Yeah.
it's still wide enough for 2 cars to pass, but you want to be careful.
Well, trouble is, we're like everybody else, we've just got too many roads that need to be done. Luckily, we've got the equipment in our own department to do this stuff, but we're limited by our own budget,
Budget, time.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll run you estimates, it'll look like this for each road, like you're used to seeing the road, the from and to. And then, like I say, I'll separate that one out. We'll send you a little match with them, so make sure we're got the right limits on that. And I'll send those out in an email, and if we need to jump on a call or something, we can jump on a call. And if you want me to add or take away, and then, we'll have pretty much just, usually like Jaleesa was saying, usually opens the first Monday after the first, wherever the holiday falls on, and then it'll go pretty much 30 days. So if they have to go a little bit into February to the deadline, we've got time in January is what I'm telling you to get it ironed out, so.
Okay. All right, well, is that what, it sound like the right plan to you two? Okay. Well, all right, we'll start there, Michael.
All right, let's see where we're
I
at.
hope it works out. I was hoping to get at least another 10 or 11 miles.
Yeah, I think if we weren't seeing this, we could, 11.4 was a little stretching it, but we should be able to do 10 and a half on that, on your $300,000 match for $1 million. So we're not going to be short of that this year unless something miraculously changes. I'll call the contractors that we've seen bid the last 2 years and see what they're thinking, see what lines up with us. I haven't done that.
Okay. But in the meantime, I mean, you work on these estimates. If something else should pop up to completely change the perspective of all this, then we still got a little bit of time
Yeah.
to change direction if we need to.
Yep.
Okay.
Do you think there'd be any money in that infrastructure bill to come?
Yep, it's coming.
I haven't seen anything yet in print that would give us a clue as what Fayette County's allocation might be, but it would no doubt be based on population.
Yeah, and I had a way I was looking at that kind of based on other things that they've done with, like, say, community crossings and the way they passed it out, but I think it's gonna triple what we've seen in community crossings. So whether they do it like community crossings or they keep some of them for federal aid, but, it'd be nice if they increase the community crossings, what they're giving out, or the max would be, because we can do that. With roads like this, it doesn't require a full design, schematic design, let the contractors go out and do their thing. It's the best bang for your buck. So
Yeah.
if they increase community crossings or do something like that, then we're talking 20 miles instead of 10.
That'd be a good thing. I want to get the maximum miles for the money.
Well, and I think what we're starting to see there too, these contractors know what's coming, so they're not as hungry. They like those great big projects, so to do projects like this, it needs to kind of trickle out. We'd like it all at once, but if they hit those contractors with big NDOT projects, then it's gonna drive the cost of these 2 or 3 miles at a time projects. So,
Or drive them up or down.
probably up, they're not gonna be as hungry for them.
Okay.
Even though it's easy work, so we need to give them time to expand their crews and their equipment and be able to take this, do both.
Yeah.
So,
Sure, we could get a lot more for the money if they would just, let us have the money and
then go use it.
let our crew do it and, just pay for all the material. We can keep you guys busy
Keep busy the way it is right now.
all year.
Yes.
They started out, that was called a force account project, they let you do it, but they made you you had to keep track of every dump truck worth of material to each project and each road mile. They just made it impossible for you to do it that way. So, a couple counties did it the first year and regretted it ever since.
I can imagine that drive you crazy trying to track all that all the time.
Yeah, you buy it in bulk, you don't keep
Yeah.
track of it every mile it goes to.
We track the loads we haul
Yeah.
down the garage, but depends on the guy turning tickets in, getting right in.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare, it's not needing an accountant to do it that way.
But they don't make it easy. Okay, well, do you think you have
Yep.
all you need to get started on
Yep,
this?
we'll get these back to you pretty quick and give you time to think about them. Like I say, I'll send an email so we don't have to, you don't have to schedule a meeting, but if something comes up you want to add or see it a little different, don't hesitate to ask. And we'll do it for you.
Well, we surely do appreciate both of you coming to town for this. Let us know when you know something, and we'll go from there.
Right, yeah, and I'll send you a general email, just what I find out from the contractors, to see if we're off base, but I'm basing this on what we found out 2 weeks ago, so I think I'm pretty close. So.
Okay. Well, we're done. That was the only item on our agenda today. Would you like to adjourn?
Awesome.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.